Welcome back to my channel. In the previous video, we discussed about the importance of C and the history of C. In today's video, we will be discussing about the need of programming and the levels of programming languages. Need of programming. Computer is a general purpose machine which can perform a variety of tasks. We have to give some set of instructions, nothing but a program. So basically computer runs through programs. We have to provide a set of programs, series of programs which is called as software. When you purchase a desktop or a laptop, it will have some inbuilt softwares in it. Say some application softwares, some system softwares. So like this, you will have some inbuilt softwares. System software. So it is the most essential software. It is the most essential software for the system, without which your computer cannot run. So which is that? Operating system. So operating system is the best example for system software. It is going to manage the hardware resources also. It is going to manage the hardware resources. It is going to control and coordinate the overall activities of the computer. So along with the system software, you will also find some application softwares. It is the software which is required for user. So best example is MS Office. Say you have some set of applications. You have Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You can just create documents. You can create presentations, right? And some other applications like you have Photoshop, where you can edit your photos. So like this, you have many softwares which is already inbuilt in your machine. But when you want to design a specific task, then you have to create your own programs. You should create your own set of instructions. That is nothing but programming. So the art of writing the instructions, what do we call it as? It is programming. So we have to design our own programs. How do we write the instructions? Can I simply write it in English or so many other languages? No, because the computer cannot understand that. You all know the computer can understand only one language, which is binary language. It is called as binary language, which is zeros and ones. You just can't write zeros and ones coding. It's quite difficult. Then we must have some user-friendly language. So let's talk about that user-friendly language, so-called programming languages now. Levels of programming language. So you have two levels of programming language. One is low-level language. The other one is high-level language. In low-level language, again, you have two types. One is machine-level language and the other one is assembly level language. So let us talk about these languages in detail. Machine level language. Machine level language is very close to hardware and hence it is called as low level language, and it is machine oriented language. Then how do we write the coding here? So we have to make use of some binary codes. We use binary codes, zeros and ones to write the coding. To write the coding in binary language, in machine level language, one should have extensive knowledge on the CPU's architecture, that is computer architecture. And different CPUs will have different specification and different architecture. So for example, if I write the sentence hello world, which is readable by human, and I have to write this in binary sequence. So I am writing the binary sequence. Just an example. When I load this to memory and when I send this to the processor, the code that what I have loaded can be interpreted by only this processor. But if I carry the same code to one more processor, say CPU2, it may not understand because different CPU will have different architecture. So it says it is machine dependent. So the code that what I write for one processor, it is only for that processor. If I try to carry the same code to one more processor, it will not run. So it is dependent on the machine on which it is going to run. Then, when I write the coding in binary language, it is easy for the machine to understand. I can directly give it for execution because the machine understands the binary language. So execution is faster. And no translation required. So here, these two things that what I can say is machine oriented because it is very nearer to the hardware and execution is faster, no translation required, can be treated as advantages. Then talking about the binary codes, we have to remember the binary codes. It's quite difficult to write the codes and it is machine dependent. These two things can be treated as disadvantages. Assembly level language. Assembly level language will not use binary codes, zeros and ones. It uses some special code called as mnemonic codes. We call them as operational codes, op codes. Say for example, add for addition, sub for subtraction, div for division, and if I want to move the data from one location to another location, I make use of MOV. So like this, different operational codes for different set of tasks. But it is readable by human. Next, it is machine dependent language. So what is this machine dependent? So the coding that what I have written, the same coding cannot be carried for different processor. Say this coding works on CPU1 but this coding may not work on CPU2 because different processor will have different specification. That's what machine dependent. Execution is slow and translation required. So when I write the coding using some operational codes, the machine cannot understand that. So it takes time for translation. Translation is required. So which translator we use? We use assembler. We'll talk about this in the next video actually. So here translation is required because these operational codes machine cannot understand. So execution is slow. So talking about advantages and disadvantage. Advantages, I use some special codes which is quite readable by human, but disadvantage, it is again machine dependent and execution is slow and translation is required. So this can be treated as disadvantages. High level language. In order to overcome the drawbacks of the machine level language and assembly level language, high level language was introduced. See, in assembly level language and machine level language, we have to break our heads to remember the binary codes and mnemonic codes. But here, we make use of some simple English-like statements. So we make use of English-like statements, which is very easy for the user to understand, human readable. It is very close to user but very far to machine code. Rather than remembering all the registers, memory addresses and some machine code, this high-level language deals with some variables, keywords, constants, loops, mathematical expressions, which is very easy for the user to understand. So, it is quite easy to write and easy to understand by the user. And it is machine independent, the plus point. It means to say the coding that what I write using high level language can be carried to different processors. Say I can carry the same code to processor 1 and processor 2. Whereas in assembly level language and in the machine level language, we just can't carry the code to different processor. We have to rewrite the code again for different processor. So that is minimized here. So here this feature is the plus point here. It is machine independent, but sometimes it is operating system dependent. It is different for Windows application sometimes, and it is different for some iOS applications. But it is machine independent. I can carry the same code for different processors. One more thing. Execution is slow because it requires translation. The English-like statements that what we write in high-level language cannot be interpreted by machine. Machine can understand only the binary codes. So we have to translate our code. So execution is slow. So talking about the advantages, it uses English-like statements and it is easy to understand. It is machine independent. So all these are advantages. Only one disadvantage is it requires translation. So which are those high-level languages that we can use? We have C, we have C++, we have Java, we have C#, we have Python. So all these are high-level languages. That's all for today's video. The next video, we'll talk about the language translators. Thank you. Please do subscribe to my channel, like, share the videos. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.